Hello and welcome to The Contentious Life. You're here for another contentious episode. We've got some good topics coming up. You join me, I'm Sam, and my co-host, Sam.
Hello. Do you think we should apologise for our sort of extended hiatus? Whatever.
Or what we could do is just set the publishing back, publish it. But yeah, we have had a bit of hiatus. We've been very, very busy. We do lead lives. It's a bit of a a bit of a...
ramshackle?
I was going to say volunteer project. You know, we don't get paid to do it. So we got to do it around our lives.
Yeah, well, speaking of...
But ramshackle is a good term.
I know. Should we get like a PayPal or a Kickstarter and just get people to give us money for doing this?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, a donate button. I'll get that one to the contentiouslife.co.uk
Yeah,
website.
and if we go into Kickstarter, should we like set a pledge for, I don't know, 15 quid?
Yeah. Let's see.
Nothing too high.
Yeah, nothing really high.
Right, okay, sorry for being away. We had stuff to do because we have lives. But yeah, now we're back for your pleasure.
Pleasure. Yeah, so we got a couple of really cool subjects we're going to talk about tonight. Probably, I think my subject's the favourite out of the two, but maybe that's the same every week. I think Sam should kick us off with something you think is totally overrated.
Yeah, and this is going to be a most contentious one.
Oh, I think it will be the most contentious. Go.
Yeah, overrated Star Wars.
Star Wars, so that massive behemoth franchise, which has got lunchboxes and toothbrushes and all that kind of stuff.
Flasks and T-shirts or bedspreads.
Not to mention the toys and figurines and comics.
Dressing gowns.
So we all know what Star Wars is. We don't need an outline of Star Wars. George Lucas's mega product. So tell me, because I'm quite a fan of the older films. I think they're not awful, but tell me why you think they are so.
Well, I don't know. I sort of liked them as a kid, but unlike films like The Goonies or Back to the Future, things like that, Flight of the Navigator even, I didn't take them with me to adulthood. I had no fondness for them. I sort of grew up and thought, actually, this is a load of bollocks.
Right, okay.
And the kind of people I noticed who still liked them at this age, I realised they're sort of, I don't know, just a bit obsessive, really. The people who liked it, they just, I don't know, they took it too far, and it really wasn't that good. It's like... It pretends to be sci-fi, but it's actually just poor fantasy masquerading as sci-fi. It's like Willow with lasers or something, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I
can see what you're saying. I was going to interrupt and I was going to say, the kind of people who can't let go of their childhood are the kind of people who probably have got a crap present and probably future. Would you agree with that? So it's the kind of people who say, oh, the old shows were the best. Nothing these days can match. And that's just generally people saying that my youth was a bit more entertaining than my present and future is going to be. Yeah,
I sort of, I'm a bit of a hypocrite there because I quite like older computer games, but it's not like I play them every day and it's not like I'm obsessed with them, but, I like them and stuff. But get this, I wrote a song about how I like nostalgic, and the whole angle of the song was, is it because my life is crap today?
Yeah, you don't need a psychologist to tell you that.
But I revisit my childhood. I don't live in it.
No, I do the same.
I take a trip to it.
And I do feel, you do look back in nostalgia and feel that they were brilliant times, because they were. As a child and as a young teen, it was much more entertaining, a bit more free, less responsibility, it was a more entertaining time. But swerving back onto Star Wars, tell me a bit more about it, a bit more depth. Why do we dislike it?
Well, I don't know, it's just, the characters didn't really... And I didn't gel with them, I just didn't really care about them,
They weren't very sincere.
Yeah, and it was just, look, they're so good, they're infallible, or some enemies come along, they just deflect all the shots with their lightsabers without even thinking about it, without even breaking a sweat. Everything's just so easy for them.
Yeah.
I just never felt like they were in danger. You know what I mean?
There's no vulnerability there.
The whole midi-chlorians thing, it's just like, it's a massive Deus Ex Machina, and it's like, we've got to explain how they're these people who look human, but can, float and teleport and rotate in midair and move things with the power of their mind, It's just too convenient, and it's lazy writing.
Maybe they should have just left it unexplained. That would have been a bit more professional.
Yeah.
Because in sci-fi, things can just be.
Yeah,
because
like
it's the future.
The T-1000, they didn't bother explaining how that liquid metal being can exist and do
and how it works.
The things they can do.
Yeah.
Because if it tried, it would look stupid.
Yeah, and we just accepted it did, and they didn't alter how much of a threat we thought it was. We didn't think, well, it wouldn't work, so it's got to be crap.
And the unexplained element was probably helped with the
Yeah.
threat.
Yeah.
But I just think if they tried to explain it, it would any explanation they could have conjured up would have sounded ridiculous and laughable, and it would have like lessened the film.
Yeah, definitely.
And the Star Wars, I mean, you know, the first ones, episode 4, 5, and 6, okay-ish. I sort of outgrew them, but whatever. The sequels, awful.
Yeah,
Just bad
agreed.
films, and I hear that, you know, Disney has overtaken it now or whatever, and that is just, I know it's going to be crap, and I see people posting stuff on Facebook about how amazing it's going to be and how excited they are, and I'm just thinking, get a life.
Hang on, did you just say Disney is going to make the new Star Wars?
They've bought the rights to the franchise, haven't they?
The whole franchise? Have they?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, okay, well, I'll check that after we've stopped recording.
We'll
but,
do a postscript, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sure that is right. Oh yeah, one other little note about Star Wars. I've got on my little bit of paper here. Well, 2 actually.
Sound effects.
Here's a good one. 3 actually. I can't even count anymore. I work part-time as a stock taker, which involves counting, and I can't even count.
Well, let's be honest, you don't do that accurately all the time, do you? I hope the boss is not listening.
I know, yeah, isn't it? Oh, so yeah, there are actually 3 items on the agenda I've yet to address.
Okay.
One is just a note, flogging a dead horse, which I've sort of roughly covered anyway. I think that's what they're
Yeah.
doing. Just let it die. Speaking of Terminator should be let to die as well now.
We've got Terminator. What's the new Terminator called?
Terminator Wankathon. I don't know what it's called. Something like that.
Terminator Spunk on my tits-a-thon.
Yeah, but it's going to be shit. You know, it died for me after 2. 3 was shit, and the rest was shit.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, though, most of my knowledge about Star Wars, my modern day knowledge, if you know what I mean, has come from Family Guy and all the references and stuff.
Really?
That they do. Yeah.
Hang on, just out of interest, the Family Guy angle of Star Wars, do they like it, dislike it?
Do I?
No, the Family Guy angle, because you know you can generally get the writer's sort of feelings on certain things.
It's definitely affectionate. I mean, have you not seen it?
No, not very much. I've seen
Really?
1 or 2 things, but
Well, Peter Griffin, it's one of his things. He likes Family Guy, he likes Kiss, the band, and he likes...
Yeah.
there's something else, but there's a couple of things that he's known to like, and they're often referenced in the show.
Okay.
And you can tell it's affectionately done, though. And
Okay.
Family Guy have even done whole episodes parodying Star Wars, like specials.
all right. Oh, I think I've seen them actually. I have.
And they
yeah.
are quite funny,
Yeah, yeah. I
even to
remember.
me, you know. And of course, the video games of Star Wars, to be fair, some of the games are quite good. They've spawned some decent games. In the 16-bit era, Super Star Wars was good. And I thought Pod Racer was quite good. And also Rogue Leader on the GameCube. Forget this cheesy Star Wars shit.
Yeah,
I just pretend that doesn't exist. But it's actually quite a good, just, you know, decent shoot 'em up.
that's cool.
But so it's kind of... It's useful for that in the video games it spawned.
Yeah,
But-
I'm always quite skeptical about games and other products which come out after films and books. You
Oh,
know, I
so
just
am
find
I.
it's milking it. You know,
So am I. I'm
yeah.
very, very cautious. And that's why that was notable to me, because it's an exception. It was surprising. Another exception is GoldenEye for the N64.
Oh yeah,
Awesome game.
that was a brilliant game.
But in general, I am skeptical of like film licensed video games because they're normally awful. Case in point, the Wayne's World platformer on the SNES.
yeah,
I played it on emulation. I read the reviews when I was a kid, so I knew not to touch it with a barge pole.
Yeah.
I played it on emulation, and me and my brother were just pissing ourselves laughing at it.
oh my god,
It's like
I can
almost so bad it's
imagine.
good. Okay, so we've gone off a tangent there onto like general video game licenses. So yeah, Star Wars, I do not like it, and I'm skeptical of people who do at this age, even though I like Back to the Future because, well, that's much better, isn't it? It's a better film
Yeah.
all round.
It's a bit more iconic, I think, because again, they don't go right into the depths and details of, you know, how things can and can't happen. You know, it's just kind of like a little bit of pop science in it, and you know, you leave it at that. But
Flux capacitor.
it's more about the story, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
more about, there is more sincerity in the characters. You know, Star Wars has done the reverse, and it's gone for all this like complicated sort of explanations, along with, you know, there's a lot of contradictions in the films.
And the
as well.
storyline is just fairly trite, isn't it? It's about, they're heroes and they have to rescue the princess. It's basically
Yeah,
Mario,
it's-
isn't it?
Yeah, it pretty much is, because it is a real trite storyline. It's kind of
It
been done
is.
1,000
And
times.
it's like they've taken an old fairy tale and just put lasers in it or something and, you
Yeah.
know, flying people.
Yeah.
But yeah, Back to the Future, I mean, come on. Like, you know, he goes back in time and his mum wants to bone him, which jeopardizes his very existence. Which,
Yeah.
let's face it, you never get that in some old Russian fairy tale narrative,
No,
would you?
no. It is. Star Wars is kind of like fairy tales in space. But
And yeah, it's just a sort of a bit of a moribund cash cow nowadays, I think. It's
Definitely.
all the merchandise and the way they're flogging the films.
Awful.
Yeah, like a dead
So-
horse.
Yeah, we should just leave it in a ditch.
Yeah, to die.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
it is dead, isn't it? Because, you know, you have
Stop flogging it.
To flog a dead horse is already dead, isn't it?
Yeah.
And, yeah, is there anything else you want to say to sum up, or have we done it?
I think that's it, really. I've just, I don't know, I've just ranted, really. Is that going to be of interest to the listener? Did you like that, listener? Email us on your Star Wars soliloquy at thecontentiouslife.com.
If you need to know how to spell soliloquy, go onto Google.
Or just Star Wars. Is it?
Just Star Wars? Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that'd be better. Star Wars at thecontentiouslife.co.uk.
Oh,
You
is
can
there-
get us on that?
Is there a word for, like, you know, Trekkies for Star Trek? Is there a one for Star Wars fans, like a Warriors or a Starry?
Or wankers. Yeah.
Okay, wankers at thecontentiouslife.co.uk. Fedora-wearing atheists.
Fat old wankers who got boring lives, really repressed sexually probably, and, you know, go home and put a Princess Leia doll at their bum and then, you know, wank off and strangle themselves or something.
At thecontentiouslife.co.uk.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that sums us up for Star Wars. You know, it is, thinking about it now, I was a bit neutral before, but now I'm thinking about it, it is a bit of a joke, isn't it? And especially the people more than anything.
Right, so onwards with your one then.
Onwards,
So
yeah.
you've got to do an underrated now, haven't you? To sort of
something which I think
temper
is
my
underrated.
negativity.
I think, I clear my throat for this, because the general public are now seen to be wearing a lot of beards and facial hair, correct? It is quite common now, isn't it? And especially
Yeah.
younger people more than ever. But I still think beards are underrated, and I'm going to tell you why. Beards. People who study beards, pagonologists.
Ah, yeah,
Okay.
because I've heard of it, like pogonophobia, of the fear of beards.
Yes. And then obviously you've got the love of beards, which is pagonophilia.
Philia.
Yeah. But pagonologists done a lot of research into beards, and they mixed it kind of with sociology, anthropology, because beards and facial hair in men has been right throughout civilization, all religions practically, all the major ones.
Islam.
All
Amish.
societies and cultures around the world, they have some kind of ritual around beards or
Jews.
facial hair or the lack of it. You know, there is speculation.
ones.
You know,
Hasidic.
yeah,
You've
it is
got
right throughout. And I think
Druids,
kind of we
witches.
miss a lot of that with our sort of like hipster beards we've got going on. And I'm sporting one as we speak.
The lumberjack chic, and they normally wear like a
Yeah.
I don't know, like a baseball cap with some motor oil company logo on it and
Yeah.
a check shirt.
Yeah, and I think sort of we've lost really what the beard means. And as a scientist as well, I love what beards signal biologically
Okay, so
and sexually.
as a scientist, tell us, what does the beard mean?
Well, beards form with dihydrotestosterone. Okay, when you're like sort of like 13, maybe a bit earlier, maybe a bit older, depending, your levels really spike, and the follicles around certain areas, your chin, underarms, groin, start to really go. You need to produce lots of wiry hair now, and that's what happens.
The love rug on the old chest?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, for some people.
Yes.
then-
Thinks he's Barry White.
Yes. Yeah. And what happens then is, because it's been such a universal throughout all of humanity, since humans existed as being facial hair in men, at least, we've actually built a lot of rules around it in some places. Like in certain places in Japan, there are certain cities in Japan where beards are outlawed, just sort of
Wow.
like across the city. They say you've got to be clean shaven, especially if you're going to go into a place of work. You've got to be clean shaven, and you could be fined
That's
for not
mad.
having it.
I
Yeah.
know beards aren't that prevalent in Japanese men. They have a lot of Far Eastern men don't have very many beard follicles, I guess.
No, it's true. It's true. And they don't have much body hair either, which is a similar thing. It comes from ancient beliefs that beards, well, it's not ancient, well, it is an ancient belief, but it still happens nowadays, that beards are a sign of masculinity, virility, strength, all those sort of like manly words you can think of to do around sex and sexuality. So you can see why a government might not want men to have beards. You know, they kind of subliminally suggest that we are powerful, and they don't want that, you know. But with women,
Why not?
going from one dictatorship to another, women either love a beard or hate a beard for the very reason that it signals sexuality and dominance and masculinity. You know, some women love that. Other feminists are like, no, feminists are like, we need beards ourselves because, you know, that shows that we're strong. So you have these feminists who've got underarm hair which they dye, which is a thing I've seen on Facebook.
Yeah, I bet all these feminists who are against beards, they just want to be rogered by a big bearded man.
Yeah, they just want to fucking swing off
just
it.
in denial.
Between their legs, yeah. It's true. You know, there is a psychological element to beards as well, you know, that if you see a man with a beard in the street, depending on who you are and how you've been conditioned and brought up, you can react one of a few ways, you know, and a beard can have a universal reaction. Margaret Thatcher very famously didn't want any men with beards in her cabinet.
Really?
Yeah, she didn't trust them. So beards can signal strong personality traits to certain people.
Have you noticed though, there's another stereotype surrounding beards? It's either sort of like a sort of grizzly alpha male, or, you know, when someone says like the men with beards, they usually mean some sort of like old, very wise engineer type.
A sage.
Like a professor or something, you know, like the people who develop engines for Honda or something.
Yeah.
You know, well, not Honda because that's Japanese, you know, no beards there. But,
yeah.
you know, I mean, for Triumph then, you know, you imagine the head engineer for Triumph motorcycles in the 60s
Definitely.
would be some proper like an open university sort of cliche with a big bushy beard and like a clipboard.
Yeah, definitely. And a white jacket, even though he was doing engineering.
Yeah,
you know,
I remember Jeremy Clarkson on Top Gear once. He kept going back to this man in the audience with a beard because he looked like he knew what he was talking about mechanics and cars and stuff. He looked like some sort of university professor. And every couple of minutes he was going, right, where's that man with the beard? What does he think?
You've just taken my next point right out of my mouth, which is fine, which is great because you've busted it wide open. I feel like we should have some sort of like effect on that later. Wide.
All right, and
Yeah.
I'll find one. It sounds like a flange from where I'm sitting.
If you could see the signals he was doing with his hands and mouth, it would be even funnier. But yeah, talking about wisdom, it signals wisdom. Beards can signal wisdom. Obviously, throughout ancient Greece, philosophers always had beards. You had to have a beard to be a philosopher.
Da Vinci.
Yeah. A lot of famous men, it fell out of favour in Victorian time, beards. A lot of younger men, especially, were getting shaved, but certain figures kept their beards famously. Sigmund Freud, Adolf Hitler had a moustache, not as much a beard, but a moustache.
I was going to say,
Lenin.
Victorians are quite famed for, amongst other things, like their exquisitely groomed moustaches.
Yes,
not necessarily
they
a
did.
beard, but like the W.G. Grace moustache.
They did. I've forgotten the name of them now, of that kind of
Handlebar.
moustache. There's Handlebar, but is it Royale? Royale, I think.
know.
There are a lot of names. I looked this up, but I can't remember off the top of my head. There's a lot of names for different types of beards and moustaches. They've all got various names, you know. And different societies as well, you know. Beards, because they were viewed as either a sign of wisdom and a sign of dignity, then you could actually lose your beard if you committed certain crimes. So
Really?
say in ancient India, if you were caught being adulterous or just generally flouting the law, then you could have your beard publicly cut off.
Ah,
Yeah.
now that draws parallels with some certain things. In Game of Thrones, like the Dothraki, as a sort of sign of humiliation, if they lose a battle, they have to have their ponytail cut off.
Oh, that's interesting.
And
That's sort of biblical, isn't it? Like with Samson, like he was degraded and his strength was gone by cutting his hair.
well, one thing I've noticed, going off on a bit of a tangent, the Dothraki seem to be modelled quite closely on the Mongols. So I
Really?
don't know if it comes from that. But another thing I was going to say, in the sort of Nazi-occupied Europe,
Fucking hell, he's like Porky Pig.
like women who were caught women who were caught collaborating with the occupying forces, they were usually had their heads shaved to mark their shame.
That's really interesting.
Whereas
isn't it?
the men were just shot, so, you know, female oppression, obviously, yeah.
Yeah. Just another little interesting fact about beards, and this is to do with the fact that hormones go on a yearly cycle. Your hormones, testosterone goes on a yearly cycle.
Really, like a solar
Beards-
cycle, almost. Like, you know, the seasons.
Yeah, it goes with the seasons. In the summer, beards grow much quicker. Fact. Yeah.
No, mine's been looking a bit better lately. But
Testosterone peaks in the summer. Obviously, summer months, you want to be more active. You want to be out there shagging, making babies. That's what evolution is about.
yeah.
In the winter months, you want it to slow down. Less testosterone. You don't want to shag as much. There's less resources around. You don't want to shag around and have kids in the winter if you can help it.
I wish I could grow more of a beard than this, though, just the chin strap. I mean, maybe I've got low testosterone or something.
Well, judging by your body, you're a mesomorph, I think. So you look like you have got less testosterone.
That's shit, isn't it?
Now, testosterone injections you can buy it off the internet.
Can you? Wow. Is this legal?
Oh,
is it in a grey area, is it?
I don't see why it should be. Usually, the people who buy testosterone are people who are using steroids to gain muscles. So I don't know if just buying testosterone is illegal. I don't think it is. There's nothing wrong with buying testosterone. Should we do an experiment? Should we get you hopped up on some testosterone?
Yeah.
You will become really aggressive.
I'll become fucking roid rager. To be honest, though, I have quite an anger management issue anyway.
Oh, this should be really fun then.
Oh.
But it can also make you sweat more, make you grow more hair everywhere else as well. So it might not just be the face, you'll end up with like back hair.
Oh, yeah, I don't want that. But won't it make me go balder? Or bald? So,
yeah.
well,
I was going to say that the dihydrotestosterone is responsible for male pattern baldness. So high levels of it cause baldness eventually.
Not even going bald yet. Must be low testosterone.
Your hair line is so low, like down your head. You know what I mean? You can see you're not going to go bald ever. You're going to be an old person with full head of hair.
I know.
Whereas some people, unfortunately, have got that sort of receding from the age of 15.
I know.
There's an M there. There's an official McDonald's sponsor going on there.
Like I've seen 19-year-olds who are practically like bald, like properly, like just got the bit goes back around the back and sides like a cartoon professor. You run out of notes, run out of material.
Yeah.
So let's talk about beards and the wider perception. And talking about beards being banned, was it true that Disneyland banned beards at some point? I think they lifted it now.
I'm not sure, but I can imagine so, because I was looking at my research, I was looking right through various organisations who stipulate in their policy that you must be clean shaven. It's kind of like it is something which is stipulated in all cultures, societies. Organisations will have some sort of rules unless they're really relaxed, or like in Britain we don't really care, I don't suppose. But then there are exceptions for religious people. So for instance, the Amateur Boxing Association for England says you must not have a beard. It's a health and safety risk to have a beard when boxing unless you're Sikh. I don't get that. How can something be a health and safety risk unless you're a Sikh?
Well,
Sikhs got magic powers.
Sikhs don't have to wear crash helmets.
But have they got magic powers?
They must do, because obviously they're invincible.
Yeah.
They go head first into a wall on a motorbike, their turban will bounce it off, I guess.
Trotters crash turbans. Do you remember that on Only Fools and Horses?
What?
Trotters crash turbans.
No. I missed that one.
That's when he got a crash helmet and he put the turban on top of it, or a scarf, but then he said like the cloth must be in contact with the hair, so he just like literally said, well, we can tuck it up the side, and he had Trotters crash turbans.
So using ancient Sikh customs and finding loopholes in them. Yeah. As long as we tuck it up, it's touching, it's fine. Found a loophole in the ancient wisdom of Sikhism, boys.
I don't get why they have a thing on it. I wouldn't be that perturbed if there wasn't a fine for not wearing a seatbelt or not wearing a crash helmet, because you have to do it and you get fined if you don't. Why should, just because you're religious? Can't I just say that I have another religion, I have helmetism?
I think a rule should be a rule. If the reason for having the crash helmet law is to stop you splitting your head open when you crash, then that should apply to everybody.
I think maybe the rule should be, controversial I know, if a Sikh smashes his head open because he isn't wearing a helmet, we don't treat him.
Oh, going back to our NHS discussion in episode 4.
It was his choice not to wear it, And he already got away with not paying the fine for not wearing it, so there's got to be some saving somewhere. But yeah, let's talk about as well really quickly the modern day, like I mentioned, the hipster sort of beards people got going on. There's a lot of what I call pretty twinky young men, 19, 18, maybe younger, who are sporting beards and
beards
facial
above
hair.
their station.
Yes, yes, they're far beyond their wisdom. If I was to see them in ancient Greece, I would assume they were wise, and that's not the case.
Were there penalties for having a beard above your station in the olden days?
I don't know. I think beards are wired into your wisdom, sort of. So, the wiser you get, the older you get, the more longer they get and matted and wiry.
And then the more it comes out of your nose and ears, and your eyebrows become like big, I don't know, paintbrushes.
Yeah, but there is a period between sort of like 18 and 30 where you shouldn't really grow it that much or at all if you want to remain within your wisdom. I would say there's a lot of 30-year-olds who are still not that mature. It's going to take them a bit longer to mature. They shouldn't grow their beards yet.
I know what you mean. And then when you sort of speak to them, they come across as really sort of, I don't know, effete. Do you know what I mean? And you expect a guy with a beard to have quite a gruff voice and to be quite confident, but when you see,
do you like my beard? I use beard oil on it. I have an American accent. I don't know why.
And they don't, some guys with beards, they sort of very slightly built, and they're sort of, they're not very forthright in their personality. They're more of a shrinking violet, and it's cognitive dissonance. You don't expect a guy with a beard to be that withdrawn and sort of, less outgoing.
I click with that totally, because I'm the kind of person to wear a beard. I'm a cunt. I'm nasty to people. I'm nasty to people, you know. I don't mind confrontation. I will have the occasional fight if needs be. So,
Oh, is it? You're a bit of a Larry boy.
yeah, so I can wear a beard. Whereas, you know, the little Twinkie shrinking violet in the corner who's wearing his chinos and, you know, a blazer shouldn't really be wearing a beard, should he? You can't. In fact, if you wear a beard and I see you sit in the corner, I'm going to start a confrontation with you. And the next time I see if you're wearing it again, I'm going to punch you in the face. You think I'm joking?
These beards ain't big enough for the both of us or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're pro beard then. I'm pro beard as well. I admire a beard on a guy. I think it's a cool thing.
Yeah, it is. It is cool. So I think that's me done with beards for now. Let me just check my notes in case I've missed anything really thrilling.
All right. But also, I got drinking with these random Scottish guys in Spoons the other day. And they were all working on the Friars Walk thing. And they were like probably like rugged sort of labourer types. And one of them had a pretty impressive beard. And I sort of, complimented him on it.
Did he take it well? Or did he go,
he did.
Fuck off, you gay boy?
No, he took it fine.
Oh, that's fine then.
But they were...
I'm not stereotyping Scottish builders or anything.
They were on coke.
Oh, there you go then. The world loves me. Yeah, and one last comment. This will be my closing comment. The enemy of all beards and facial hair, of all sort of religions, cultures, histories, the enemy of all of it was the Gillette safety razor. When that was invented back in beginning of the 1900s.
Something like that.
That was the downfall of humanity, really, wasn't it?
You think?
In fact, just to back that up, there hasn't been a president of the United States who's worn facial hair since 1909.
Really?
Ever since then, they've all been clean shaven, and that's what the Gillette safety razor did.
Maybe that's why subconsciously people don't like them, because maybe on some primal level we want to be led by somebody who looks leaderly. You know?
Yeah.
So we don't. And these guys are just pen pushers, aren't they? Really?
Yeah.
You know, like you imagine like a medieval king. Grizzled king like Brian Blessed in Blackadder who would actually be out there on the battlefield kicking ass himself, risking his
They are
life.
glorified pen pushers, really, aren't they?
Yeah,
You know?
we're being ruled by office jockeys.
Yeah. And if you are moved by anything you've heard about this Pagana interest section, then you can contact the Beard Liberation Front, which was started by Keith Flett, who was a historian, and he wanted rights for bearded men and people not to hamper bearded men. Or make, assumptions about them. So if you're affected, contact them and share your concerns.
I mean, look, there's Santa Claus, for God's sake, isn't it? Why is he allowed to have a beard, but on others it's uncouth? Is it because of the colour? Is a white beard sort of exempt?
Yeah, because he's quite camp, isn't he?
I don't know, is he?
No.
Depends who's
Red,
playing him in that particular department.
Black leather boots, red crushed velvet jacket, white fluffy trims on his cuffs. I think he's one of the gayest men I've ever seen.
Yeah, it
He haven't
depends.
got Mrs. Claus back there. He's got Mr. Claus, Mr. Slave Claus. That's what
Or maybe
it
he's
is.
just working his way through the elves.
Okay then, thank you very much. That draws us to an end.
No, it doesn't. I was going to say something
Oh,
about
fuck.
it depends on who's playing Santa in that particular department store.
Oh,
it could be
yeah.
some weirdo, or it could be like some proper grizzled proper guy.
That's what's going to happen to all those hipster bearded guys who are really shy. They're going to end up just being Santa Clauses when they're old.
Do you reckon? Like, what kind of Santa do you think you'd make?
I'd be a badass motorcycling Santa.
Would you be like Billy Bob Thornton in Bad Santa?
Yeah, I'd be a cunt.
Yeah, who secretly robbing the things on the sly.
Yeah.
I wonder what sort of Santa I'd make. I'd make a eccentric Santa. I'd make a mesomorph Santa. Can Santa be a mesomorph? Mesomorphic Santa.
I think so. It reminds me of that film where, I can't remember what one it's called, where the guy becomes Santa Claus and he slowly puts on weight for no reason until he's fat enough to be Santa Claus.
Tim Allen, the Santa Claus.
Probably.
I think that was it, because he actually becomes Santa Claus because he signed a contract which had a clause. Yeah, it's that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. So, are you done? I cut you up earlier. And I told you.
Don't know. Well, this is your topic, so is it done?
Well, we've done 18 minutes of it, so yeah.
All right, and 18